Man, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight in Vancouver, all my real fans.
Okay. Have you read the news about a guy named Quinn Hughes? The guy that's so pale, but he's better than Cale.
Damn, bro. You're like better than Drake, dude. That was crazy.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Took me 4 hours to come up with that. Thank you very much. But hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer since 2013, currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. It is your Canucks every damn day. If you haven't done so already and you want to help Kyle and I take our girls to Cactus Club, us taking our girls, not you taking our girls, but you know what I mean. Make sure you go subscribe or follow us for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, okay? And I also got to let you know this episode is brought to you by My Rap Game. No, I'm just kidding. That wouldn't be a very good sponsor. The show is actually brought to you by Gametime, okay? Go download that Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. This has been bandied about throughout Canucks Nation, but it's time for us to do our part, okay? We got to talk about how Quinn Hughes can win the Norris and why this guy absolutely deserves the Norris over a guy like Cale Makar, okay? Cale Makar's got the cash but Quinn Hughes has been way damn better this season. We're going to talk about that in segment one. Also got a few notes to touch on prior to tonight's game against Arizona Coyotes and looking even past that in terms of lineup decisions, injury updates, and a few more tidbits about what's going on with your Vancouver Canucks. And hey, maybe we'll try to get to your comments today as well, because again, we're nothing without you. Listen to this show. But before we get into all of it, let me introduce my co-host, someone who is definitely sexier than Cale Makar. Kyle Bowen, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. Thanks, man. I've always wanted to be sexier than a dude named Cale, man. Kyle, damn. I may name my kid Cale. Scratch that. You know what I'll do, though? Straight up. And this is my loyalty, right, to the Vancouver Canucks. I'm Vancouver Canucks first. If Quinn Hughes, wins the Norris, if Quinn Hughes helps us win a Stanley Cup before the Olympics begin in 2026, right, the best on best ice hockey tournament, if all that happens before that, I will be cheering for Team USA. And that is just because, man, I'm grateful for that country, that hockey country, providing me with, again, the dream. And the dream is to win a Stanley Cup and not necessarily to win a Norris trophy. But at the same time, it does kind of feel like a fever dream because, bro, we waited like 50 plus years to get a guy like Quinn Hughes, and to see this guy win a Norris trophy, aka be named the best defenseman in hockey, would literally feel not just brand new, but pretty damn special. And it's more than a possibility this season. Now, if you look at the stats, I know the fancy data, right? The fancy data is suggesting that this year Quinn Hughes is way better, not just better, but way better defensively than Cale Makar. But at the end of the day, this dude is only 1 point behind Quinn Hughes. He's played 4 less games. He has 3 more goals, and he's still Cale Makar. I don't give a beep what the underlying data says. I'm pretty sure game in and game out, he's either the best or second best player in that hockey game. You know what I'm saying? He's playing with McKinnon. But you get what I'm saying? This guy's, again, I don't need the data to tell me that he's been bad defensively to convince me that I'm not wrong in saying that he's probably still better than everyone playing hockey in that game. It's the data stuff. It confuses me. And every time I've watched Colorado play this year, they played us a couple times and they played on TV a couple times. Dude, Cale Makar is damn special, damn near Connor McDavid-like on most nights. This is going to be a close race.
I don't think it's going to be a close race unless, a lot of these writers have their heads up their ass or they're from the East Coast and they're not watching Quinn Hughes play. Look, I know, like you said, Cale Makar is an amazing defenseman, right? Amazing defenseman. And he's having a good year. But this is Quinn Hughes' year. And, I'll be rattled if Cale Makar even makes this a close race because, again, you talked about those fancy stats, right? And I don't even think they're that fancy, but you look at Cale Makar's numbers and, Quinn Hughes, starts way fewer of his shifts compared to Cale Makar in the offensive zone. He's going up against stiffer competition. Cale Makar spends the majority of his ice time with McKinnon and Rantanen. Hughes does not spend the majority of his ice time with Pettersson, right? He's all over the ice. The amount of goals that Quinn Hughes is on the ice for when the Canucks score, that's a sky-high number, only on par with really, McKinnon and McDavid. I mean, what Quinn Hughes has done this year has been so special. His goals against rate, his shot against rate when he's on the ice compared to Cale Makar is fantastic. Look, I know people are going to look at the points, right? And that's the big thing here. Quinn Hughes is still ahead, but looking at the power play numbers, Cale Makar has slightly outproduced him. At even strength, Quinn Hughes has slightly more points. Cale Makar slightly better points per 60 rate. But at the end of the day, look, this is the bias when it comes to the Norris. And the bias is towards an offensive defenseman. Look, we talked about it on the show last year. I don't think Erik Karlsson should have won because he was horrendous defensively. Again, 101 point season is super special. But, in terms of the Norris Trophy, the best defenseman in the NHL, it's Quinn Hughes, offensively and defensively. This guy, again, still, despite being such a rock defensively, does not get credit for how good he is in his own end and for how good he is at recovering on an odd man rush. And not getting credit for how good he is in terms of getting the puck out of the zone. Quinn Hughes, not only is he the best defenseman in the NHL this season, I still believe he has a Hart Trophy case. I don't not say he's going to win the Hart Trophy, but I see him as a top 10 player in terms of Hart Trophy voting this season, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, he's up there when it comes to the most important players in the game, right? He really is. He's top 5 this season. And if you look at the narrative too, Quinn Hughes becomes captain of the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks, the lowest team in point percentage over the last 5 years before this one, if not the lowest, the second lowest, the third lowest. Anyways, he gets named the captain of the Vancouver Canucks. He's the defenseman. The whole culture needs to change. He needs to do the most. And what does he do? He delivers. And look at the historic season that Quinn Hughes is having right now. It literally is historic. It's one of the best seasons, if not the best season in Canucks history. And look at the results. We're here in April doing the most, loving the Canucks, loving the hockey games. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, he's been damn near perfect all season long. And I think there was that stretch there where he was struggling. But even when he struggles, he's still top 10 good, top 15 good. And everyone struggles. All that being said, there is a new gear to Quinn Hughes that we are seeing towards the end of the season, and that's a bright light for not only the Norris case, right? Because it's going to get close. I hate to tell you, Canucks fans, you guys want this to be a cakewalk, and you guys want to already buy the Quinn Hughes for Norris T-shirts. It's going to be close, and it could have a lot to do with this East Coast bias, or just again, not a lot of people familiar with Quinn Hughes' all-around game. Because again, a lot of people sleeping when Quinn Hughes plays, and there's this narrative already written about Cale Makar, right? And he lives up to it every now and then. All that being said, it's going to be close because Cale Makar is Cale Makar. He just is. He's going to be nominated for the Norris every year like Nicholas Lidstrom was. It's just the truth.
Yep. And a lot of his name cachet, though, right? Again, I won't harp on it too much.
Cachet, come on, man. 90 plus
he's good.
points,
No, he's a great
goals.
defenseman. I'm
He's
just
99
saying.
overall, dude. It's every year that guy's it's going to be close, bro. It's going to be close. And I think to make things a little bit more clear, because I want Quinn Hughes to win the Norris more than anyone. For him to do it, I do think he needs to ramp it up here in the next 4. He's been ramping it up, goals in 3 or 4 straight games. It feels like that. But he's got to continue that all the way to the end of the season because, you look at Colorado, McKinnon, Colorado, I don't know if they need points. I guess Dallas is just kind of running away with the Central Division lead. But McKinnon has a hard case against Kucherov and McKinnon. That is probably, Kucherov and McDavid. That's probably one of the greatest heart races we've seen in some time. They're going to be itching for goals, and Cale Makar is going to be piling up the points. So I think Quinn Hughes, to kind of sway all those people who are sleeping on him, he's got to rally up the points here. Now, I know what you're going to say, Trevor. Again, his defensive metrics, blah, blah, blah. He hasn't played a real playoff series yet. That's when everyone is going to really notice that, oh, crap, this guy's actually really good two-way. Outside of just the fancy stats, okay, I see it. He controls the game. If he's on his game and he has the puck for 50% of the game, the Canucks are probably winning. I don't know. I think Trevor's internet is at 180p right now. Can you hear me, Trevor?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I was just I thought you were going to finish your thought there, but
okay.
Look, the only way that Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar has been better than Quinn Hughes this season has been in terms of goals. Cale Makar is now at 20 goals, but again, I think the fact that Quinn Hughes added that to his game is at least in the ballpark of Cale Makar makes him, again, for me, the clear favorite to win the Norris this season. And it's probably going to come down to Roman Josi. It's probably going to come down to Cale Makar. And it's probably going to come down to Quinn Hughes. But by every metric, Quinn Hughes has been one of the best players in hockey this season, not even just the best defenseman. I always look at game score in terms of trying to compare players across the NHL, and Quinn Hughes is the 8th best game scorer this season. The only defenseman that's better is Evan Bouchard. And I think we all know that Evan Bouchard, who's a good player, his numbers are insane because he spends most of the time playing with McDavid, right? Quinn Hughes doesn't need that. Quinn Hughes is the play driver. And again, Cale Makar, great player. But again, it's got to be Quinn Hughes that wins the Norris this season. I don't think there's much he has to do over the next 4 games.
I don't know about that.
You know what? He scored 4 goals in his last 4 games, right? So if he can push 20, then the award is 100% his. I think it should be 100% his boys. But to me, that's one of the only things that I guess could happen to change the narrative here.
If Cale Makar finishes with like 5 more points than Quinn Hughes, I know that sounds so crazy. I'm just saying Colorado's they're trying to score some goals right here. They're trying to rack it up for Nathan MacKinnon. It could very well be the case. He's only 1 point behind Quinn Hughes. Like that's going to sway a lot of the votes. It is what it is. It's just the truth. So again, I think for Quinn Hughes to really lock this up in front of all those people who don't know about his 2-way game, like go on a tear here. You're playing Arizona. You're playing Calgary as well. You're also playing a pretty high pace game against Edmonton. Pick up the points and just like nail it down. Cause you really want to leave it up to the NHL and their narrative writers and their writers, bro. They don't give a beep about the Vancouver Canucks. It's just the truth. So I'm not going to be surprised if Cale Makar wins. I really am. Unless Quinn Hughes, again, just make sure he's at the top of the standings when it comes to the point leaders as defensemen. Just like if that's not the case, again, I'm not going to be surprised if Cale Makar wins. Will I be disappointed though and mad? Of course I will, because this is a pretty special moment. Again, Quinn Hughes, captain of a Canadian team, his first year being the captain, and for him to like totally switch the outlook of this team. I've been given so much credit to Miller and so much credit to Rutherford, Alvin, Tocchet, the culture, blah, blah, blah. Let's be honest, people. It is about the players, and Quinn Hughes is the captain. He's the biggest part of all of this 360 that we've seen in 2024. As you said, he should be nominated for the Hart. It's the truth. Quinn Hughes, magnificent, excellent, and he deserves to be recognized, not as a second fiddle, as being one of the top 5 players in hockey.
Quinn Hughes has been going since day 1 of the NHL season, and Cale Makar, that just hasn't been the case. Again, I guess it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Cale Makar is certainly finishing strong, but Quinn Hughes, since the puck dropped on October 6th, has been the best defenseman in the NHL this season. And I won't listen to any other argument otherwise, okay? Let's wrap it up at that. On the other side, let's get to Trevor's notes, thankfully presented by Kyle because, I'm still using dial-up internet here. We'll get to that on the other side. But first, let's shout out our friends over at Indeed. All right, you know the deal. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish that you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talented roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you could do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching, assessments, and virtual interviews. Something I love about Indeed is that they make it so easy, okay? They're the true inventors of the "that was easy" button. Sorry, Staples. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match on Indeed are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search. With Indeed, matching as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed job description. Boom. It's hiring at warp speed. Indeed knows when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost for application price not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs in 120p. Yo, Trevor, if you don't fix your internet before the playoffs, bro, We're going to lose in round 1. What type of bad voodoo? You want the Canucks to perform? We need your Wi-Fi to perform. Trevor's getting his Wi-Fi from a cereal box. Again, man.
Yeah, maybe I'll maybe if you want to ramble for a minute, I'll switch to another source. But hey, it is what it is, man. You know, I don't have the prettiest face to look at, and I want people to be impressed by my face when they see it in person. Okay, you know what I mean? So I want to
like it.
keep it aloof for the viewers on YouTube here. And if you're listening on podcasts, you know, I know when I listen to podcasts, I'm always like, what the heck do these guys look like? Don't even look us up, okay? Just come to whenever we have a live show, and you'll find out for yourselves how beautiful Cal Bound and I truly are. Faces that match the voices for sure, because you know that's always the way it goes. When you hear a voice, it's always exactly the way you picture it.
Okay, before we talk more about the Canucks, and since we just got to keep it on theme, like, do you remember having dial-up internet? Do you remember those days? And if you do, what was like the first thing you did on the internet?
Oh man. Well, the first thing I did on the internet would have been MSN Messenger for sure. Like 03, 04.
Okay,
and I learned how to illegally download music pretty quick too.
Me too. One of the first song I ever downloaded in my life was "Sweet Child of Mine" by Guns N' Roses. I also spend a lot of time on MSN Messenger too, you know, updating the status and flirting with girls, man. That was it. That was trying to. Actually, I was never a flirt. I was just a nice guy. What am I talking about? Hey, speaking of this nice guy named Kyle Bound, I'm about to go through the notes that Trevor wrote prior to today's episode on one of my favorite segments, man. Why? Because it makes the most sense in the world, okay? Trevor's Notes, brought to you by Kyle. People. Trevor, man, jotting down these notes about your Canucks, the busiest team in hockey, and always doing something. Like, again, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I feel as if there is a bit of a quote-unquote must-win narrative around these late games, because I do see this division race being really tight, and we do play the Oilers on Saturday, okay? And I don't want to stress out. I don't want to lose my hair. Let's make things easier. And what's happening, okay? We're about to play the Arizona Coyotes. I know they're just the Arizona Coyotes, but Shelovs is getting his second straight start. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Kyle. I don't necessarily agree with this decision, and I'll tell you why. I think that Shelovs is going to go back to Abbotsford for the AHL playoffs, and I think with DeSmith, if something happens to Thatcher Demko and DeSmith's got to go in, I think DeSmith has to have one more start where, you know, he looks like a capable NHL goalie. Because credit to the guy, he's been good throughout most of the season, but you know, 12 goals against in his last 2 starts is not good. And for me, what better way to boost DeSmith's confidence and having him go into the playoffs on a high than facing the Arizona Coyotes? And a bit of disrespect to the Coyotes, perhaps. They've, you know, I think they're one of the top scoring teams in the NHL since March 1st. Like, they can score some goals, but I just think you want to get DeSmith a win and a good start before you go into the playoffs, just in case something happens to Thatcher Demko. I don't know if you agree with me on that one, Kyle.
No, I get what you're trying to say, but I do find it tough for the fan base, but more notably, I guess the organization. I know it sounds so crazy, right? It sounds so crazy, but the plan for what they got to do if they put their backup in. When I think about playoff runs and you're scheming things out, like, you don't want to like put that energy out in the air that, oh, Demko may get hurt again. But at the same time, when Demko has a heavy workload, and he had a bit of a heavy workload prior to the injury, right? Straight up, it was just the truth. He was playing a lot of games, getting up there in games started compared to the rest of the goalies in the NHL. This was the problem, but here we were doing what we were doing and starting him game in and game out, and he got injured. So I guess for a Canucks organization and a fan base, we do have to ask ourselves this question. Again, if he plays every game, and we're talking about 7-game series, 6-game series, now we're playing in late May, Western Conference Finals, how's that body going to hold up? And if something happens, do you want to go with the guy that you basically said is worse off, or you're worse off with, in comparison to your third string goalie? Like, that's kind of crazy. I think by making this decision, they're kind of telling us that if they got to win a game, Shelovs is playing. And to bring it back specifically to the moment, if Shelovs plays good today and Demko is not ready for Saturday, Shelovs is playing against Saturday, because that's a big game. It's a huge game.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to think about. It sounds like Demko is really close, though.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully Demko's just back and ready to go.
What a time. Again, being a Canucks fan is just something else. Nothing is really, really easy, okay? Let's go to this, okay? Podkolzin, talking about the lineup, is scratched tonight. honestly don't mind this decision. A pretty physical affair against the Vegas Golden Knights a couple games ago, or a game ago, a couple days ago, that is. And yeah, I was at the game. Didn't notice him once. And you know who I did notice? Mikheyev. If you think about it, I think like Mikheyev was on that same level, like the 12th forward, the 11th forward on the team. You get what I'm saying? And I think that because of a performance like that and just the performance in general with the Vancouver Canucks, and you got the Arizona Coyotes coming up, this kind of opens the door for like PDG or whoever's coming in today to come in. And it sucks for Podkolzin because I think there was an opportunity in Vegas to leave an impression. Okay, a really physical game. He's been playing really physical and just really didn't do anything on Monday night.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like Mikheyev and Podkolzin, if they switched jerseys and I was watching from above, I wouldn't honestly know the difference. I think they both had good moments recently in terms of their defensive play, getting the very, very odd chance of the offensive zone. But I think they both shown hustle, and I know Mikheyev more so than Podkolzin against Vegas, but I noticed Podkolzin throw a hitter too. Again, nothing super noticeable, but I look at this potential lineup going to the playoffs, and I'm like, on one hand, I'm kind of happy. I kind of like the idea of Mikheyev and Podkolzin on a fourth line. It's certainly not where you want a guy like Mikheyev when he's making $5 million. But when it's about winning, I kind of like that idea. But also, those two have shown no bottom line offensively. Mikheyev, 1 goal in his past 178 games. Podkolzin, Podkolzin has yet to score this season, right? So, yeah, I think they've both shown their moments, but neither one has really cemented their spot in this lineup either.
I just think what I saw from Mikheyev against Vegas was a player who was faster than ever. Like, I haven't seen him move that quick against a really prominent team, and they kind of needed that. He was pounding down pucks. He was doing his thing, and it was a must-win game in front of a ruckus crowd, a crowd that really wanted it. And to be honest, a bit of a emotional crowd, right? The fan base wanted wins, and who was out there to protect the lead? It was Mikheyev. They're trying to get Mikheyev going, And I think they gave a lot of room here for Podkolzin to get going too. And I think he's going to get another opportunity. But the floor cannot just be, okay, he's great at hitting or he's given the body, delivering the body. If Podkolzin is choosing to not be that guy, shift in and shift game in and game out, And again, a huge opportunity, a big club, Vegas, be physical. And I didn't really see that from him. Okay. And again, the floor is just that. Podkolzin, a good forechecker. Haven't seen anything offensively from that dude. Okay, what do you have here with Elias Lindholm? Do you want to fill us in? Okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, so Elias Lindholm, he's been a full participant in practice, but Tocchet said he's a game time decision. I think Lindholm sounded like he's itching and ready to go, ready to get back in. So I wouldn't be shocked if he played tonight, to be honest.
Damn.
But when they did do line rushes at practice yesterday, Lindholm was not part of it. So I think he's truly a 50-50 toss-up. But I think Tocchet also said after practice today that this was the game that they'd earmarked Lindholm to get back into a couple weeks back. So again, I would say there's probably a 70% chance he plays tonight. And I'm curious to see where he slots into the lineup. I assume it's going to be third line center. And maybe alongside a guy like Mikheyev. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Mikheyev and Lafferty.
Oh my God.
Where have we gone with Elias Lindholm, man? Unbelievable.
Kuzmenko, 5 multi-point games in his last 6 games. Do I care? Nope. Do I care? Nope. Do I care? Maybe. Ugh.
Would he have been doing this with the Vancouver Canucks though?
Bro, we just talked about the floor for Podkolzin, right? This 10th overall pick from years ago is hitting hard and he's hitting everything in sight. And thank you so much. But as soon as he's not doing that, it's like, what are you doing? Nothing else. And I feel like for Lindholm now, is that I hope that there's more than just being a smart player down the middle, creating a deeper lineup. We need to see a ceiling that's leaned onto more so we can kind of be more explosive offensively. Okay. For real, the Canucks in their last 5 or 6 periods of hockey, I know they lost against the Kings. They've just been playing a more fun brand of hockey, and I think that has to be remembered and capitalized on game in and game out for this team to be optimized. And if Lindholm is going offensively, if he has that swagger and that confidence, I'm more than a bottom 6 player, it raises the ceiling of this team. Anyways, Kyle Ballin, Trevor Beggs, talking about his notes, talking about your Vancouver Canucks on the other side. We're going to ask the question, okay? Is this the last year? Because I think there's a 40% chance. Is this the last year your Canucks in quite some time are going to be donning blue and green as their primary colors? Because there's a chance that the skate is coming back, okay? Back in black. Trevor has it noted. Once you go black, you don't go back. Trevor?
Something like that, right? Something
Yeah,
like that. That's
yeah,
for sure.
yep.
We're talking about songs we illegally downloaded. I think the first song I illegally downloaded might have been Back in Black by AC/DC.
Damn.
So I'm a fan of the Black Man, but we'll talk more about that on the other side. Before we do that, let's shout out our friends over at Gametime. You know the deal, okay? Begsy, I'm cheap, okay? Can't you tell by my internet? I'm cheap. And I'm also cheap when it comes to buying tickets. So that's why when I go buy tickets, I use Gametime, okay? Because at Gametime, they got the lowest price guarantee, baby, okay? When you could guarantee a lowest price, you know I'm going to be in, and you should be too. And, I never forget about Gametime because Nicole at Gametime, shout out to Nicole. I don't know what she looks like, but she always teases me, emailing me weekly, letting me know about concerts and events in my area. She can do the same for you as well. That Nicole, she doesn't care who she emails, man. She probably got, thousands of guys on the email list. I feel special when she emails me, but that's just me, man. Of course, you can find Canucks tickets on there. And again, lowest price guarantee. That's pretty damn tempting coming to playoff time. And if you're not into Canucks, what are you doing? But on Gametime, you can also find tickets to concerts, comedy, theater, basketball, baseball, all that stuff. Okay. It's all on Gametime. Okay. So make sure that you go download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms are again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
People, we doing this on this Wednesday afternoon, talking about your Vancouver Canucks and this big game against the Arizona Coyotes coming up in a couple of hours. In other words, I'm still a little giddy / a little surprised / a little astonished that Quinn Hughes and the Vancouver Canucks have come this far in 12 months. It's just the truth. Okay. Speaking of coming far, Trevor Beggs, man, this internet connection, man, reminding me of, my days on Google Images, man. Crazy times, man. Crazy times. Anyways, let's talk about the jersey, okay? Speaking of Google Images, you could search up the word Vancouver Canucks on Google and be so confused by what you're seeing if this is the first time doing some research on the Canucks, because they've just gone through so many colors, so many logos, so many symbols, so many of all these things, and here we are again asking this question, right? Are the Canucks going to make a change again? If you can call a change going back in time a change, you get what I'm saying? Are you hearing anything? Are the Canucks going to use their skate full time? What's going on?
I'm not necessarily hearing anything, but really to me, the fact that they've started to put in black seats in the arena, and that's something they plan to do for the entire arena, is my understanding from talking to people. The fact that they're going to go all black seats certainly opens the door to the chance that they could go with the black skate full time. And, I think most Canucks Nation should be pretty happy with that. And don't get me wrong, I love the jerseys, but there is something that that irks me with making the switch, just because there's been so much change with this jersey throughout Canucks history. I like the blue and green, man. I'm 420 friendly. I think it represents the West Coast pretty well. I'm a fan of the blue and green. I don't necessarily want them to go back to this skate full time, but a playoff run where they start winning in the black skate would certainly start changing my mind on it, but that's just kind of where I stand on it.
Dude, if all the seats are actually turning to black and it's not just a VIP thing or a VIP section that gets, again, that change of scenery, the Canucks, again, Rutherford, Alvin, planning ahead, just billion-dollar companies plan ahead. If that's the case, the Canucks are moving back to the skate. And I remember like 5 or 6 years ago when I started on this journey, with, I don't know, just doing what I want to do, and 420 and all this ish. Some of the first things I was making in the world of art and playlisting and whatnot had to do and was inspired by the skate logo. Do you remember that? Like years and years and
Yeah, I
years
sure
ago.
do,
And
buddy.
I always knew the Canucks were going to bring it back, but to think that they're going to go back to a full-time switch leads me to believe that they know that the kids like it, like the future likes it.
Yeah. Well,
And
think about when we
remember,
were at Blarney Stone, man. When we were at
yeah,
Blarney Stone, I don't know if that many people watched the Canucks game, but we saw a ton of black skate gear, right? It wasn't
yeah,
even jerseys, it was like hats and
it's swag,
sweaters
dude.
and shirts, man. Yeah.
It's swag. And bro, no offense, like I know the Canucks whale, right? The orca, dude, superhero in my life, straight up. The first thing I fell in love with, but just looking at it, it's definitely not as nice as a skate. Like something is, why is that whale so angry? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's something off there. It looks
Yeah.
weird sometimes to me. Okay, if I wasn't just full of this West Coast bias, then I would I would be so confused why an organization would go with the whale rather than the skate. The skate is just iconic. You know, it really is. It's and in my opinion, and we'll see this in the future, especially if the team wins, right? And the Canucks become cool because they're champions. It's going to be a high fashion piece. It really is. Rocking a skate jersey.
Yeah.
It's sexy, man. Anyways, let's get to some
No, it's
comments before we get out of here. Trevor's internet's about to explode, man. Do you want to say something before I go to the comments?
no, I was going to bring up a comment too from Mr. Whale, which
Okay, cool.
ironically, Mr. Whale, shout out to Mr. Whale, saying that the orca is boring. Wow. Mr. Whale says the whale is boring. Dude, you just blew my mind. I think to me, yeah, I'm a bit, I'm just used to the Canucks colors. I think you're right. Like the orca for the word Canucks, which means Canadian and it's blue and green. There's a lot that doesn't make sense, but then the flying
Okay.
skate to me, like when I was a kid, I thought it was a plate of spaghetti. So, I mean, I don't know. Nothing's
And you
perfect,
don't like
man.
spaghetti? Who doesn't like spaghetti?
I love spaghetti, but
Dude, I
as an
love
intimidating
spaghetti,
sports
man.
jersey, yeah, I don't know.
It looks like a plate of spaghetti with mustard on it. And who doesn't like spaghetti with mustard? Okay, I started eating mustard pasta the other day. It's actually, why are you laughing? It's a Hindu thing, man.
No,
You didn't know Hindu?
mustard's the forgotten spice. It's the forgotten spice for sure.
That's something else, man. Okay, let's get to the comments. Okay, shout out to Ryan. Okay, who's more likely to win the Conn Smythe, Quinn Hughes or Elias Pettersson? I mean, damn, just reading that sentence out loud just tells me that this team is stacked, man. Like the fact that we haven't seen the best out of Elias Pettersson in a season where, like a full season in which Quinn Hughes has been this consistent at the top of his class, tells you that if both those things combine, bruh, again, June is a possibility. If I were to choose one of those guys, though, I'm gonna go with Pettersson, man. Real talk. Real
Wow.
talk. Dude, honestly, I think we only get to June if Pettersson has a theatrical return to prominence
Yeah.
when it comes to being in the top of the class in the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think Quinn Hughes is like he's already one of the best players in the NHL, but Patterson's certainly got room to grow in his game right now.
Yeah. Okay. So then we have also a guy named Kyle. He swore in this comment, so I'm not gonna view it on the screen, but he says, "I can't say I give a beep about trophies, to be honest. That being said, I do give a beep about the Conn Smythe. Real talk. I dream about the Conn Smythe. But do you like on a scale of 1 to 10? How much do you care about Quinn Hughes winning the Norris? Because again, as a hockey fan, a big hockey fan, being in a Canadian market, understanding that it took us 50 plus years to get a number one defenseman, which is actually the truth. Like we're not being delusional there. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. You talk to an NHL historian, they're not bringing up any Canucks defenseman prior to Quinn Hughes being one of the better top 10 defensemen in hockey. Maybe Jovanovski. During a small little stint. But yeah, how important is the Norris Trophy to you? Because again, as a hockey nerd, seeing one of my guys win it would be again pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10 because at the end of the day, all that matters is the cup. But as someone again who's watched the Canucks his entire life, which granted doesn't span the 53-year history, I hear I didn't miss much in the 70s and 80s though. Yeah, I think it's a long time coming that the Canucks have had a defenseman this good, and I think having a Canucks defenseman win the Norris is justification that yeah, we finally do have one of the best, if not the best defenseman in the NHL, and he's going to go down as one of the best defensemen of all time, which is a pretty incredible thing. So it matters, but yeah, it's nowhere on the same level as potentially winning the cup or someone winning the Conn Smythe.
Yeah. Again, it's we're getting so used to Quinn Hughes being Quinn Hughes, it kind of waters down the experience, right? Straight up. I need to do some vegetables with you and just kind of reminisce about what this guy does shift in and shift out because it is remarkable. And then when you kind of even see all the statistics being spewed out throughout the game of him being compared to Leach and Bobby Orr and this dude and that dude, even that gets kind of not boring, but yep, that's just another comparison. That's just another comparison. But in all honesty, what we're seeing is extraordinary. What we're seeing is a guy en route easily, if he just keeps this up, to become the best player in franchise history. And honestly speaking, a top 10 defenseman of all time. Anyways, Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs doing our thing. Hit the link in the bio. Okay. It's our Discord. You'll find out all the news before we go live here on YouTube down there. We also talk a lot of ish. Speaking of which, Andrew, man, going to his first Canucks game. He told us on the Discord, that is something else. First Canuck game ever? Bro, that is, I wish we knew a couple hours earlier, man. We would have done something special for you, man. Get your name shouted out on the Jumbotron. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, that's a special time. We hope the Canucks win for just you and you and you and you. Trevor Beggs, sign us out. Oh, yeah, one more note. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab for letting us do the show here. Straight up. They always looking out for their neighbors. Home of that West Coast bias. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab. Beggsy, sign us out.
Home of the West Coast bias. That's what the Don't Doze Art Lab is all about. And that's what we're all about here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube. We had to do a little later today because, hey, our software said we couldn't go live on YouTube at 12. There were some technical difficulties. And, hey, I know all about that here on Locked On Canucks. But, again, whether you're a first-time listener, an everyday, or anything in between, we appreciate you joining us for the show. Always a good time here. And you know what, Kyle, one thing I want to talk about, obviously, Canucks Coyotes tonight. Come on, Canucks. It's got to be another win, okay? Don't go to sleep on the Arizona Coyotes like you did against the Ducks a couple weeks ago and having to come back at the last minute. None of that BS. But one thing I want to talk about later this week, Kyle, is what are the optimal lines going into the playoffs? And I think it's relevant with Elias Lindholm coming back into the lineup. So stay tuned for that episode. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bound. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Hit the like button, subscribe, so I can celebrate Christmas the right way. One love.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver